be very tough for Dr. Fred Matiang'i. Why am I saying so? First of all, as I said before, that before someone comes out to vie for presidency, you must have some few things that you must consider. One is the starting base. Do you have a starting base for you? What do I mean by starting base? A certain block that is significant, that will first of all give you are sure that here I'm going to get votes from. That is the backyard, your bedroom. In Kenya, that's how politics works. To give an example, Raila Amolo Odinga had Nyanza, Uhuru Kenyatta had Central Kenya, William Ruto had Rift Valley. Those are the regions that these people depended on. So Matiang'i's side, he first of all has to establish whether he has a base or not. The Gusii region. He has to ask himself, have I united the Gusii region? If he has united the Gusii region and he sure has gotten 90% of its support, well and good. So one of the things you consider is the starting base. The second thing you consider, it is money. You must have a source of funds that is going to fund your campaign in Kenya. The Kenyan campaign is quite expensive. That is how some of these leaders have made it to be. They have made it so expensive to an extent that when they get into power, there's not much to expect other than them returning the money that they used in the campaigns. So in real sense, Matiang'i has to consider whether he has money to run the campaigns in this country or not. Money starting from the movement of cars and people, payment of the agents, branding, and many other things that are involved in politics. It even includes buying other politicians to come on board and support you. So generally, the Kenyan campaign is very expensive. It's very expensive. So Matiang'i has to sit down and look at a source of revenue, source of money that's going to use in the campaigns. Now, before I proceed to other factors, on those two, Matiang'i is facing a big problem. Which one is it? One, Matiang'i depends on a base of cases. That is about almost 1 million votes he has on board. Almost 1 million, just almost slightly. If we go to the statistics of last year, the last election, Matiang'i will be having slightly less than 1 million votes. If assuming that cases that can vote, are eligible to vote, are the only ones that who voted during the 2022 general election. Therefore, considering that kind of a percentage, that kind of a number, it is quite small. And therefore, Matiang'i must depend on another community to support him. And against all odds, the Kikuyus are the only people who could have supported Matiang'i as a sure bet. I'm talking of a sure bet. Why? First, his friendship with Uhuru Kenyatta. They worked very closely. Uhuru Kenyatta gave him big jobs within his government, which saw him deliver education-wise and other things. So therefore, Uhuru Kenyatta's support for Matiang'i could have given him a good starting base, in addition to the 1 million, assuming it's 1 million votes from Gusii region. He could have gotten probably 4 to 5 or 5 million from Central Kenya. A very significant starting base. Now, Uhuru Kenyatta has a coalition with William Ruto. And William Ruto, there's no conversation can ever have about his government without including 2027. So probably, either Matiang'i is heading to government, or either he has parted ways with Uhuru Kenyatta, or Uhuru Kenyatta is playing William Ruto, or William Ruto or Matiang'i himself has decided to chart his own way, his own path. But William Ruto had to include the issue to do with Matiang'i because the potential presidential candidate in 2027. A scary one with Uhuru Kenyatta. So as far as the base is concerned, William Ruto has ensured that he has embraced Uhuru Kenyatta to the utmost to ensure that he does not introduce Matiang'i again. He has taken all the possible running mates of Matiang'i, and now they are all in government. And they are going to be in government until the election is done of 2027. Take that to the bank. Unless Matiang'i is working with Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, it is very clear that Matiang'i has lost some backyard that he could have received. So if Uhuru Kenyatta decides to back William Ruto, then meaning Matiang'i is going to remain with small number of the starting base for him. Let me talk of the finance. Matiang'i depended on the connections of Uhuru Kenyatta to fund his campaign. He's not rich enough to, he could be a billionaire, yes, but he does not have money to fund the campaigns of Kenya. He depended probably Uhuru Kenyatta, the Mount Kenya billionaires, and many other people could have come on board through Uhuru Kenyatta because he's the one who's connected and who has money in this country. But now, Matiang'i has been played. I don't think that Uhuru Kenyatta can be able to fund Matiang'i at the same time and fund Uhuru Kenyatta, fund William Ruto. So that is a game that has been played. You have to see that. Those are two aspects I've talked about. Now, the third one. Matiang'i must be involved in the local politics from 2022 going forward so that people can get used to him. People can see him as a politician because people knew him as a technocrat. He has never vied any seat in this country. He has never vied anywhere. He has never been elected. So he had to come to the ground and get used to the hostility within the Kenyan politics. Now, Matiang'i is not used to that. He has not been around. Probably in 2025, he's going to come up and start engaging himself with the local politics. So, from that point itself, Matiang'i is still shaky now. Coming back to Kenya, start establishing himself, fight the court battles, proceed to an extent is going now to become the presidential candidate. It's not going to be easy. But he has to come and clear his name from the people and get that support. He has one advantage here. People have been calling for Matiang'i to come on board and vie for presidency. People have been calling for him to come out. So Matiang'i has to be involved in the ground for people to get used to him, for the electorate back in the villages to get used to him, to listen to his ideologies, because we used to hear him when he was under Uhuru Kenyatta, but now he'll be independent. So he has to come out and engage himself with the people. Another thing that Matiang'i needs, it is political friendship. He needs to have allies, MPs who are behind him, so that as he vies for presidency, locally you realize that there are people vying under his ticket who are going to also enable him get more votes from the villages. When someone's campaign and says my leader is Matiang'i, there's 2 or 3 people who will subscribe to that and vote because of that. So he needs to have numbers, because you can't get to the presidency without having the political. You need to have a significant number of MPs, MCAs, and even governors on your side. Though for me, I believe so long as you have the presidency, do the right thing, you don't need to have all these other people. But that is what has been happening in Kenya. You realize MPs will decide to sabotage you completely as long as they are paid. So therefore, Matiang'i has been missing that aspect. He has not engaged himself with the people. So political partnership, he does not have as such, unless they establish. And William Ruto has done a very critical thing, taking all those who could have been partners, particularly in Nakuru and Central Kenya. Oh God. So we are waiting for Balala to come back to government. Balala from the coast probably is coming to join government as well. And that is the only person he is left with at the coast. Matiang'i. I'm talking about Matiang'i here. So those are 3 things I've talked about so far that determine the presidency in this country. Another thing is the youths. The youths are going to vote immensely in 2027. So the question is, who are they going to back in 2027? I think it's ideal Matiang'i could engage himself in the local politics so that at least the youths could get used to him. Come 2027, it becomes easy for them to make a decision to vote for him. But probably, Matiang'i is not heading to the presidency. Checking from all indications, the kind of dormancy is showing, probably is not heading to the presidency. Probably is joining a certain coalition to bargain for something, 1 or 2. But the fact remains that things are not easy on all fronts for him. He needs to really do extraordinary things for him to get the support that he needs from the people of Kenya. Because Matiang'i, as an individual, he has a lot that is lacking as well. A lot. Now, I don't know what is your take as far as this is concerned. That is my take. See you next time for more analysis.